Like so many others, I have gotten pulled into the culture of the morning routine, and I made a video about this, a few videos on and off in the past kind of 6 months to a year. But I feel like this has been a topic in the self-development community for quite a long time. Like, it's been quite a number of years since I heard, for example, Kellyanne Maddox talking about the importance of having a morning routine, and she was mostly talking in terms of spirituality and being centered and just kind of managing to be yourself and to just kind of hold yourself to your principles and to kind of feel the way you want to feel throughout the day, more so than any kind of crazy productivity type idea. And that is mostly the kind of concept that I like to come back to again and again when I think about why I have a morning routine. For me, it has always been more about how I feel rather than how much I get done in a day, because I don't like to focus too much on productivity when I'm planning my life, when I'm planning my planning, when I'm thinking about how I structure my day and my week and my month and my year. I like to really focus on, I mean, obviously I need to get things done. There are certain things that need to get done every week and in a month and in a year. There are definitely ways that I can make sure that I do get more done that I want to get done, and a morning routine can be helpful with that. But for me, the best way to motivate myself to do certain things, to have certain habits, is more about my emotions and where I'm at kind of emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That is just so much more of a motivation for me to keeping up kind of day-to-day habits. And I've been thinking about this a little bit today, about what a morning routine actually does for me and why I think it's important for me. And I feel like this might kind of maybe be helpful if you're getting a little bit kind of frustrated or sick of just the sheer amount of morning routine videos that are out there. And I feel like there has been a bit of a kickback against it in recent times, where people are kind of saying, you know, it's a little bit ridiculous to kind of say that if a certain CEO has a particular morning routine, or they get up at 5 a.m, that, you know, if you too do all of those exact same things, that you will be crazy successful. That's just not a paradigm that I'm a part of. It's not something that I'm aiming for. And I also think that following another person's schedule isn't going to help you to achieve things the way that they do, or to be successful in the way that they are. I think that is a little bit unrealistic. But I think what's probably most helpful is for people who have morning routines that they think are helpful for them, to maybe share what they actually get out of them in more kind of specific terms than just, oh, well, it's good to have a morning routine, this is what I do, so therefore maybe you should try emulating me. So because I've been moving from Edinburgh to Dublin, I've gone through quite a period of weeks where things have been a bit more chaotic, and I definitely went through a phase where I wasn't doing my routine whatsoever. Various different components of it kind of fell by the wayside, and it got to the point where I really just wasn't doing any of it in the morning anymore. And then, having gotten back to Ireland, I've had the opportunity to kind of start doing those things again and start kind of putting that back into place a little bit for myself, and I've really felt the difference. And I think that's really helped me give me a little bit of perspective on what it is that I gain from doing specific things in a specific order in the morning, and the ways in which I'm maybe unrealistic about what it can and can't do for my life. And what I realised was that I think for me it's about control, and about finding a good balance, a good level of control in my life. And so the reason that I find it difficult to have both a morning and an evening routine is because I struggle with control. So I'm a bit of a control freak in that I think, or I believe, that I need to have control over all aspects of my life. But because the idea of being in control gives me a lot of anxiety, I then also tend to be a rebel, and I will rebel against my own systems and my own rules just because it just starts to feel a bit overwhelming and claustrophobic, and it just doesn't really make me happy to be kind of constantly running to a schedule and constantly fitting everything in a very controlled manner. I like to feel like I've got a little bit of wiggle room and kind of just, I don't know, a little bit of room for spontaneity and so on. And I will just rebel against it if I have too many schedules. And I've talked about that before in other videos. But what I realised about the morning routine, I kind of always had it in mind that it was important for me to have a certain morning routine, because if I didn't get things done in the morning, I just wouldn't get them done at all during the day. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's true because it's easier to kind of just fall into a pattern. So to some extent it's true, you know, if you have certain things you want to get done, you need to get them done in the morning, because by the time the evening rolls around, you're just kind of going to be a bit more tired and unmotivated. So it is kind of largely true. In my particular position, I think it's because, especially because if I control my mornings rigidly, I won't be able to control my evenings rigidly. Like, I will just reach a point of burnout when it comes to scheduling and having routines and having certain things that need to be done at certain times. So therefore, if I don't schedule in all the things that I really want to get done in a day into my morning routine, I will find that they go by the wayside. And what I realized though about my morning routine is it's not even so much about what I get done during that time. It's not really about some sort of magical combination of things. I think I thought of it much more like that in the beginning when I was structuring one. I was thinking about all the different things that I might want to incorporate into it, like meditation, time at the altar, exercise, reading, journaling, and it was all these different kind of self-development type tools that I thought were helpful and that would be helpful for me to incorporate into my life on a regular basis. And I was trying to just jam them all into this kind of 3 or 4 hour morning extravaganza. But I realized, having come back to my routine and really only reincorporating the kind of yoga and meditation element, which takes at most about half an hour, I realized that I think the best part of having a morning routine is really just that sensation of having taken control over your day from the get-go. So for me, the sooner that I start to do things that are on my checklist, like my mental checklist, after getting up out of bed in the morning, the better I'm going to feel about my day, and the more in control I'm going to feel, and the more I'm going to just be in the kind of mindset to keep going and to keep getting things done. And I really just feel like that could almost be anything. Like, personally, I don't like to jump out of bed and go straight to email, go straight into work, and go straight into doing anything like that. But you might be different. Like, everyone is different with this kind of thing. Like, I remember a guy that I was seeing at one point, he said that he would just roll out of bed in the morning at, like, I don't know, 7:30 or 8 o'clock or whatever, and just immediately sit down in the kitchen on his laptop and start, like, doing emails, like, over breakfast. Like, it was the first thing that he would do out of bed in the morning. And that horrified me. Like, I absolutely hated the idea of waking up in the morning and immediately being sort of on in terms of your work life, and especially going straight into email. Like, that to me just doesn't sit right. I like the sensation of having my own time in the morning to do my own things that are not being influenced by other people, that I'm not being held to obligations first thing in the morning, because that's just what makes me feel in control of my own life. But for him, quite possibly, getting on top of his inbox first thing in the morning was maybe a really good thing. It probably made him feel more in control in his own way. And yeah, it probably led to him just maybe taking charge more in his day if he had done that first thing in the morning. So I think your mileage will vary. And I definitely think that, I know there's a lot of talk in the spiritual community about kind of setting your vibration first thing in the morning. And if that's something that seems right to you, then sure, absolutely go and do that. But I think everyone has their own way to set that vibration, so to speak. That's not terminology I normally use, but you know what I mean. Everyone has their own way to do that, and everyone has their own vibration that they want to set. Everyone has their own kind of mentality that they maybe want to get into first thing in the morning, and it really depends on what works best for you as to what you might want to make that routine look like. But yeah, that was kind of my realization, that for me it is mostly about control. And if I'm even just doing a half hour in the morning of a couple of things that I know are the most important things that I want to get done in terms of my own free time in the day, if I just feel like I've gotten them checked off first thing in the morning, I just immediately feel better. I feel accomplished, like I've done something, I've managed to do something, that I have checked things off the list, that I have indulged in some self-care, in some self-love, and all of that just leads to me just feeling so much better prepared to kind of take on the day. Ideally, in an ideal world, I would love to also be including a run, I would love to be including journaling and reading and all sorts of different things, but realistically I'm starting to think that maybe trying to incorporate everything into this magical morning routine might not be realistic, because personally for me, I also do like to start work early in the morning. Like I like to start my work, whatever that work is, whether it's PhD, whether it's like creative project, whatever it is that I'm working on at that particular moment in time, I like to get it started early on, and I like to take frequent breaks throughout the day and so on, and I think that's part of that kind of sense of control. Like if I can feel very early in the day that I've already made progress on something, I'm going to feel so much better and so much more confident and just so much more energetic as I go on forward with my day. So I'm starting to realize that for me, having a 3-hour morning routine that involves kind of doing lots of exercise and journaling and all of this different stuff is actually probably not realistic. I don't know what the best way for me is to kind of incorporate all of those things into my day. Like I said, I'm a bit of a rebel and I tend to like push against a strict routine and a strict schedule, and it can be a little bit difficult for me to make the time and find the time to do all of those things later in the day if I don't do them first thing in the morning. But I think now that I've isolated exactly what it is that I get out of a morning routine, it'll be easier for me to kind of say to myself, okay, the run, like I don't have to go for a run first thing. I don't have to journal maybe every day. I don't have to read nonfiction in the morning. Maybe I can gently try to incorporate that into other parts of my life and gently incorporate some kind of routine into my life. And the wonderful thing about routine is that it happens then without thinking about it. Like once you really get into the flow of it, you find yourself on that yoga mat. Like if you are in the habit of getting up, going to the toilet, brushing your teeth and getting on the yoga mat, then you will just find yourself in downward dog going, oh yeah, okay, we're already doing this. This is great. And I would love to incorporate that into more aspects of my life. Say like, I don't know, maybe immediately after dinner that I always sit down and read a non-fiction book for an hour or something like that. But yeah, I just thought that I would share that with you. Just this sense that it's not about what you do. It's absolutely not about that for me. I don't think anyway. Like I don't think there's some kind of magical combination of things that you can be doing with your mornings that is going to set you up for life. I think it's more about isolating how it is you need to feel about yourself and about your day, and what are the best couple of things, the most important couple of things that you can kind of check off your list first thing in the morning that are going to get you there. And like I say, like for that guy that I was seeing, for him it was like going straight into work, going straight into email. And for you it might be spending like half an hour at your altar, just free flowing time. It might be drawing tarot cards, it might be going for a run, it might be a million different things. It might just be watching a little bit of TV. Like maybe that's actually how maybe you just want to do something that's totally fun and just unplug first thing in the morning and give yourself a little bit of that kind of me time, and maybe that will set you up for the day. Like maybe it's sitting down with your planner and just planning out your day and just getting really like focused and organized first thing in the morning. It really depends on the individual and your personality and just how you work and how you operate. But yeah, that's just been my 2 cents. I'd love to know for you, like what is it that you get out of a morning routine? How is it that it makes you feel? How do you want it to make you feel? And yeah, how have you like played with that over the years, and what have you ended up with, and so on? I'd love to know. So yeah, thanks for watching as always. I hope this was helpful for you, and I will talk to you again soon.